Bernie Sanders issues warning about Trump's drug pricing executive order. Why it matters. Americans often pay more for prescription drugs than consumers in other countries, which has fueled calls for lawmakers to pass legislation that would allow for the federal government to negotiate lower prices. Trump and others have argued it's unfair that Americans would pay higher prices for the same drugs, but critics have argued this will stifle innovation at pharmaceutical companies. What to know? Sanders, who has regularly pushed for Congress to take action on lower drug prices, reacted to the executive order in a statement released Monday. Sanders is a Vermont independent who caucuses with Democrats and is one of the most progressive senators. He warned he does not believe courts will allow the order to stand, encouraging Trump to instead support a bill that would lower drug prices for Americans. Several of Trump's executive orders have faced legal challenges over his authority since his return to office, holding up much of his agenda in the courts. He added that the issue isn't that drug prices are too low in Europe and Canada, but rather the extraordinarily greedy pharmaceutical industry. As Trump well knows, his executive order will be thrown out by the courts, he wrote. If Trump is serious about making real change rather than just issuing a press release, he will support legislation I will soon be introducing to make sure we pay no more for prescription drugs than people in other major countries. Data from Peterson Kaiser Family Foundation revealed the differing costs of 5 popular prescription drugs: Eliquis, Jardiance, Entresto, Januvia, and Ozempic, between the US, UK, Canada, France, and Japan. The data shows US costs being significantly higher than the other countries for the same drugs. In January, Trump signed a separate executive order rescinding a Biden-era policy aimed at lowering prescription drug prices. He also signed an order last month ordering the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, to take new steps to lower drug costs through market forces. What people are saying. DHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wrote to X, Americans pay 3 times more for prescription drugs than patients in other wealthy countries. That ends now. Today, President Trump signed an executive order to demand most favored nation pricing, no more gouging Americans to subsidize foreign governments. Justin Amash, a former member of Congress from Michigan who served as a Republican and Libertarian, wrote to X, TL, Adar, Trump supports economically foolish price controls for prescription drugs and pharmaceuticals and will sign an executive order to sidestep Congress and the Constitution, again. Veteran Democratic strategist David Axelrod wrote to X, Trump exec orders can be as meaningful as a Trump university degree. But if he actually delivers on what Biden started and dramatically lowers US RX costs for consumers without limiting access to life-saving drugs, I will be the first to applaud. What happens next? The executive order gives drug companies 30 days to lower prices. If companies do not comply, the order would allow the HHS secretary to propose a rulemaking plan to impose most favored nation pricing.